Hello everybody and welcome to our council meeting, Wednesday 15th of July 2026. I'd like to acknowledge the people in the gallery and I'd also like to say welcome to our former Mayor Michael Whelan sitting over there in the gallery. Can I remind everyone your mobile phones to please make sure you turn them off or in case of emergency please let me know. I would now like to just acknowledge the Bunurong as the traditional owners and the custodians of the lands and the waters in which we live, and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. I'd like to now hand over to our CEO Greg Box, who will read a brief valet to following the very sad news of the passing of one of our Bass Coast team members. Greg.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's with deep sadness that I acknowledge the sudden and unexpected passing of a valued Bass Coast employee, Paul Frank Burns. Paul dedicated more than 34 years to council, beginning his career as an apprentice gardener before gaining his qualification in arboriculture and developing a deep passion for the trees within Bass Coast. Paul's knowledge, quiet dedication and willingness to share his expertise left a lasting mark on both our organisation and the landscapes that he helped nurture. The teams and all of us who worked with Paul describe him as a wonderful mentor and an incredible servant of the Bass Coast community. Beyond his work with council, Paul was a proud and active member of the Kilcunda community. Whether through local football, the CFA, or the many friendships he built over a lifetime, he was someone who gave generously of his time and was well known and respected by so many. Our thoughts are with Paul's family, friends, colleagues and the Kilcunda community during this difficult time. He will be deeply missed by our Bass Coast family. Like the trees he cared for, Paul's legacy will continue to provide shade, strength and inspiration for years to come. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Greg. Well spoken. Rest in peace. Now I'd like to ask Councillor Morgan to read the councillor statement.
Thanks, Mayor. All members of this council pledge to the Bass Coast Shire community to consider every item listed on this agenda based on the individual merits of each item without bias or prejudice by maintaining an open mind and disregarding councillors' personal interests so to avoid any conflict with our public duty. Any councillor having a conflict of interest in an item will make a proper prior disclosure to the meeting and will not participate in the debate or vote on the issue.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Presents and apologies. We have a few apologies. We have an apology from Councillor Halstead. We have an apology from John Temby, sorry. They were the only two apologies. Declaration of interest, we have none. Confirmation of minutes from the council meeting held on the 17th of June 2026. Can I have somebody move and second? Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Bauer. All in favour? Carried. The Mayor's and the Councillor reports will all be put online and in the minutes as been tradition. But I'd like to go to Deputy Mayor Councillor Bauer, who has a brief announcement. Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and fellow councillors and people watching from the gallery. Today, we can announce that the Cows Country Centre, Bernanite, has been officially achieved Passive House certification, an internationally recognised sustainable standard focused on energy efficiency, occupant comfort and building performance. I would like to, and I think it's really fitting that we hold this meeting in this building today. I would also like to acknowledge and thank the former Mayor and Councillor Michael Whelan, who staunchly and doggedly and advocately to support where this instrument to build this building and support were instrumental in pursuing the ambitious goal of designing, constructing Bernanite to the Passive House standard. Michael, please stand up.
Congratulations, Michael.
Okay. Designed by Jackson Clement Burrows, the architects, and constructed by McCorkle Constructions, the facility was always intended to set a new benchmark for public buildings in regional Victoria. Bernadette has officially, we've said that, Passive House certification is not about appearance, it's about how a building performs. It means that Bernadette provides excellent indoor comfort and greater energy efficiency for the thousands of community members and visitors who use this facility every year. While sustainability is a key part of this achievement, the real benefit is to our community. It also opens up a new form of tourism for this island, which I call engineering tourism, and I hope that engineers, climate change experts, and others will come here to inspect our passive house, and it will be expanding throughout the year. And hopefully it'll take them more than one day to look at this building so they stay overnight on our beautiful island. Congratulations to everybody involved in this, and let's hope we get a lot of use out of this beautiful building. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well said, Councillor Bauer, and I believe if it's not the one in the world, it's top two in the world of the highest level. So,
Mr. Mayor,
remarkable.
can I just add to what Councillor Bauer said, Mr. Mayor? My wife and I went to see Emma Donovan, who was amazing, on Sunday night, whichever night it was, and we bumped into two people who'd been friends for 30 odd years ago, seated on one side of us, and they came all the way from Upper Beaconsfield to come to that concert. They'd had an evening meal here in town and then gone to the concert, and seated on the other side of us was a group from Foster.
Yeah, well,
So the building is the building is working as it was intended. It's another iron in the fire. For our tourism sector down here, and it's certainly drawing people from right outside of the radius of Bass Coast.
Mr. Mayor, the one thing I forgot to say, it's Australia's first passive house certified public centre to incorporate a professional theatre, public library and gallery and museum. Thank you.
well done. Okay, well done, everybody involved. Public question time. So we have a few here. I'll see question one. We have Darren Collison, who would like to come forward and read his question. So Darren, if you would like to, come forward, read your two questions, and then I'll ask you to take a seat back in the gallery.
Thank you, everyone, for accepting my questions. Okay, my first question is directed at the Thompson Avenue redevelopment. Has any money been allocated for public artworks, sculptures, murals, mosaics, etc. in stage 1 of the Cal Streetscape Master Plan, Lower Thompson Avenue redevelopment?
And question two.
My second question is, when will the funding for the toilet facilities at Olive Justice Place be made available?
Thanks, Darren. I'll ask you to take a seat back and I'll ask Mr. Box to answer the questions.
Through the Mayor, whilst funding has not been allocated in stage 1 of the Cow Streetscape redevelopment for artistic response, it is a consideration for stage 2. A creative design response is integrated into the landscape works. Council invested in the glass canoe project by artist Marie Clark called Yawa at Burnanite out in the corridor here, and continues to work with groups regarding cultural heritage interpretation. In relation to question 2, the Olive Justice Place toilet facilities form part of stage 2 of the Cow Streetscapes redevelopment and are currently not funded. This remains a priority of Council.
Thank you, Darren. Thanks for the time for the questions. Question number 2 is from Graham Jolly, and it's regarding the transfer station. Years ago, the Real Landfill waste disposal site closed. Council purchased Gap Road property stating a new transfer station would be built. The 17th of the 6th, 2026 Council meeting, Council stated Council has no current redevelopment plan for the site. When will the transfer station be constructed on site?
Through the Mayor, there is no current development plan or construction funding allocated for the Gap Road site in Council's long-term financial plan. In 2026-27, funding has been allocated to undertake a feasibility study and options analysis to determine the most effective and value for money approach for delivering waste management and infrastructure maintenance services on Phillip Island.
Question 3 from Bill Bonivius, and its topic is waste bins. Under the Victorian Local Government Act or any act, is Council's 3 bins waste system, red, yellow, green bins, a compulsory service to property owners in the Bass Coast Shire, or is the system only a service offered to the property owners?
Through the Mayor, under the Circular Economy, Waste Reduction and Recycling Act 2021, Council is required to provide waste and recycling services, red, yellow and green, to land in its municipal district that is used primarily for residential purposes.
Question 4 is from Ernie Westergaard, and its topic is scoping works. Please provide the full details provided as the scoping works details to the design company to create a design for Stage 1, Phase 4 of the Esplanade section in Cowes on Phillip Island.
Through the Mayor, the Stage 1 Phase 4 plans of the Cowes Streetscapes redevelopment, including a traffic and pedestrian movement plan during works, can be found on Council's Engage Bass Coast project page.
Question 5 is from Bill Wilson, and its topic is the MotoGP and Superbikes. Please provide at this early stage the Council's involvement plans towards the last MotoGP and Superbike events at Phillip Island.
Through the Mayor, Council has a long-standing partnership with the Australian Grand Prix Corporation to support the MotoGP, including traffic and transport management, community planning and activation of the Cowes Entertainment Precinct. Council also supports the FIM Superbike World Championship through its annual event partnership program. We acknowledge this is the final year under the current arrangements and look forward to celebrating both events with our community and visitors while continuing to advocate for a coordinated support package from the Victorian Government.
Question 6 is from Joe Warrilow, and its topic is Passive House. Please provide a report comprising the Passive House results currently for the Cowes Cultural and Community Centre or the issuing certificate.
Sorry, pardon me, Mr Mayor.
No, that's all good.
Through the Mayor, Bernadette has been certified by the Passive House Institute to the Passive House Classic Standard. Large public buildings are assessed using detailed energy modelling and performance requirements specific to the building's size, function and climate. The results have been published on Council's website and represent the building's certified performance outcomes.
Question 7 is from Graham Jolly, and its topic is Canberra. Recently, a number of Council people travelled to Canberra to a national conference. While in Canberra, Council spoke to government officials seeking grant funds for projects. How successful in the funding terms to Council was it achieved?
Through the Mayor, Council representatives attended the National General Assembly in Canberra. It is important to note that grant funding decisions are not made during these meetings. Rather, they provide an opportunity to advocate for projects before formal funding rounds or assessment processes. Advocacy is an important part of Council's role in ensuring our projects are known and understood by decision makers, gives our community the best possible opportunity to secure external funding. For example, Council has received $8 million in federal funding for the Cowes Streetscape project and has recently received over $632,000 to support the future of the Wonthaggi Secondary College site.
Question 8 is from Mario Boffa, and its topic is grant allocation. What is Council's contingency plans if the state government grant funding is reduced to a very low grant allocation to Council in 2026-27?
Through the Mayor, the major component of operational grants relied upon by Council is the Financial Assistance Grant Program. This is administered by the Australian Government under the Local Government Financial Assistance Act 1995. The Victorian Government does not provide significant operational grant funding. Capital grants are requested and received on an individual project basis. These are only included in the annual budget if confirmed.
Question 9 is from Sue Chadwick, and I understand, Sue, you want to come forward and read your question, if you could. That's okay. Excuse mine as well.
First of all, I'd like to add out the commiserations of the Friends of the Thompson Avenue Golden Cypress Group concerning Paul's death, to his family and to Council, as he helped us look after trees like this and preserve the golden cypress along the highway.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you. That's very nice of you.
And a question is, topic is the plaque. Many months ago, the plaque honouring the Shire of Phillip Island ambulance drivers, previously mounted on the older Civic Centre garden and later discarded in a paddock, Bass Coast Council committed to restore it in the garden of Bernadette. When is the Council going to fulfil this promise?
Thank you, Sue. I'll ask you just quietly to squeeze back into your seat, and Mr Box will respond. Thank you.
Through the Mayor, the plaque and rock are safely secured at Cowes Depot whilst we investigate the best option for placement. The fountain garden the plaque refers to is no longer part of the landscape surrounding Burnaneet. Council will contact the local ambulance service and the Historical Society to discuss the best way forward within the next month.
Thank you. Question 10 is from John Cantone, and there's two parts, and its topic is Thompson Avenue upgrade. Question 1, where is the final detailed design for the Thompson Avenue upgrade? Why is the completed design not publicly displayed at the project site for the community inspection?
Respond to that.
Go for it.
As previously answered, the detailed designs are available on Council's Engage Bass Coast project page. Council is managing signage on the project site in line with regulatory compliance and to promote local businesses.
And question 2, which businesses requested removal of on-street car parks for Thompson Avenue? Please identify every business, business association, submission, consultation response, meeting record supporting this decision. Will Council publicly release this evidence?
There has been, through the Mayor, there has been repeated consultation over the past decade. The history of the project, including the engagement summary, is available on Council's Engage Bass Coast page under the Cowes Streetscape project heading.
Thank you, everybody, for those questions and for those that come forward and read them out today. Part 6, notices of motion, we have none. Part 7, petitions, joint letters, deputations and correspondence, we have none. Part 8 is response requiring cancelled decisions. And 8.1, the Esplanade, Sunderland Bay Road to Sefa Court, notice of declaration to be introduced by Ms Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor. This report seeks Council's consideration of the submissions received during the statutory process for the proposed special charge scheme for the upgrade of the Esplanade between Sunderland Bay Road and Zephyr Court in Sunderland Bay. Following Council's resolution in February, the statutory declaration process was undertaken and affected property owners were provided with the opportunity to support or object to the proposal. Council received 18 submissions from 24 affected properties, comprising 10 submissions in support and 8 objections. A committee of Council considered the submissions and recommended that the scheme proceed unchanged. The recommendation, before Council is to declare the special charge scheme and proceed with the next stage of the project. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Taylor. Can I have somebody move and second this recommendation? Councillor Bauer, seconded Councillor Bell. Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, fellow councillors and ratepayers watching this meeting. This motion is the next in a rolling implementation of special charge schemes as a result of the abandoned overreaching special charge scheme for Surf Beach and Sunderland Bay in 2023. I commend the ratepayers for asking for this and I hope more streets will follow. The improved road conditions will improve their living standards for the local residents considerably, and I commend it to councillors for voting.
Thank you, Councillor Bauer. Councillor Bell.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to thank those that presented to us at the Committee of Council on this special charge scheme. I really appreciated the time and effort put into all the submissions. But most residents on this stretch of the Esplanade are supportive of the scheme, so I'm happy to endorse the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Would anyone else like to speak to or against this recommendation? No? We'll put it to a vote. All in favour? Carried. (8.2) Amendment C179 to the Phillip Island Sporting Precinct rezoning. Ms Taylor to introduce.
Thank you, Mayor. This report seeks Council's support to commence a planning scheme amendment process for the land at the southwest corner of Phillip Island Road and Ventnor Road in Cowes. The amendment proposes to rezone the land from the farming zone to the public park and recreation zone and to remove the now redundant public acquisition overlay. The land has been identified as the future Phillip Island Sporting Precinct and Council adopted a master plan for the site in 2023. The amendment is an important planning step that will enable the future delivery of a major recreation and community precinct, including sporting fields, aquatic and leisure facilities, courts, open space and other community infrastructure identified in the master plan. The recommendation is for Council to seek authorisation from the Minister for Planning to prepare the amendment and, subject to authorisation, commence public exhibition. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Taylor. Would anyone like to move or second? Councillor Bauer. Second, Councillor O'Brien. Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, fellow councillors and ratepayers watching this meeting. This is the next essential piece of the puzzle in bringing in the recreation reserve on Phillip Island. This will now lock in the area as the permanent home of the Phillip Island Sporting Precinct. Thanks to the community demands and the unrelenting pushing by the three ward councillors, Councillor Bell and Councillor O'Brien, the work on the recreation reserve is moving forward as one of the Shire's leading major projects and advocacies, and I commend Ms Taylor and her team for helping to push this forward. The residents that have been questioning me on what's going on the site, I wish to reassure them that work in advocacy for the project has been vigorously championed by all three. The necessity for a new football ground speaks for itself. Phillip Island has the largest football club and has outgrown its present location. We are very keen to learn how much money will be offered by the various candidates in the upcoming state election to progress this very essential project forward for our island. I commend it to the council for vote.
Thank you, Councillor Bauer. Just a quick, I guess, alteration to what you just said there. They're the largest football and netball club in the whole of Gippsland.
Apologies.
Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, this is really good news. It's particularly good news because we're further along the project than we thought we might be at this stage. So that's why the rezoning is happening now. It wasn't necessary to get the work started, but now that we're we're further down the track than we thought we might be. So the rezoning has now become a necessity. So thank you very much, Ms Taylor, and to all involved, and to our the three Island Ward, the three musketeers of the Island Ward. We will not let this one go.
Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. Would anyone else like to speak to or against this recommendation? No? Put it to a vote. All in favour? Carried. 8.3, closure of Park Parade Road, Cape Patterson, to be introduced by Ms Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor. This report responds to a petition received by Council in June of this year seeking the closure of Park Parade Road to through traffic and the introduction of a 30-kilometre speed limit on the road within Cape Patterson. The report considers the petition in the context of the recently adopted local area traffic management study and advice from council engineers, and on this basis it's recommended that no changes are made at this time. In assessing the petition, officers have identified that the local area traffic management study requires further review to ensure clarity. Council officers will continue to work with the head petitioner and Park Parade residents to ensure that their concerns have been considered within the plan. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Taylor, and I acknowledge Stephen in the gallery there. Can I have somebody move and second? Councillor Morgan, and second? Councillor Bell. Councillor Morgan.
Thanks, Mayor. We've discovered some ambiguity and some wording within the local area traffic management study, which we'll look to clarify further, but the officer recommendations in response to this petition will remain the same. I do generally support lowering speed limits in residential areas too, but can understand that lowering this one street shortly after changing the limits on surrounding streets also might add to confusion. So I'm happy to keep working with residents and other parties on road safety at all times. But I'd like to also thank the lead petitioner for their active engagement with the process and with our team here at Council.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillor Bell.
Nothing to add.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Would anyone else like to speak to or against this recommendation? No? We'll put it straight to a vote. All in favour? Carried. 8.4, Dogs in Public Places Guideline, to be introduced by Ms Kennedy.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this report is to present the Dogs in Public Places Guidelines 2026 to 2029 for Council adoption. Development and delivery of the guidelines is a key Year 1 action from the DAMP, the Domestic Animal Management Plan, that was endorsed recently for the 2026 to 2029 period. The guidelines provide a consistent approach to assessing the suitability and design of designated leash-free and dog-prohibited areas on council-managed land. The guidelines have been developed in consultation with the Dogs Off Leash Working Group through extensive sector best practice benchmarking and research and extensive community consultation. The guidelines provide a comprehensive and consistent framework for decision-making and funding attraction to support community wellbeing and environmental conservation benefits in the planning and delivery of open space projects. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Kennedy. Can I have somebody move and second this recommendation? Councillor Morgan and seconded Councillor Bell. Councillor Morgan.
Thanks, Mayor. I think there's been almost a record amount of community engagement throughout the DAMP process, and any time we mention the word dog or wombat or cat or any of our other beautiful animals, we always get a lot of engagement. So I won't spend too much time talking about this, but I would encourage everybody to go and read this framework and these guidelines, because there has been an immense amount of work and engagement that has gone into getting us to this point where we've essentially got a traffic light system that is based in evidence. For the first time, I think, in a lot of local government areas, the regulations around our public spaces and dogs and domestic animals in general has been done on thoughts and feelings and anecdotal evidence rather than science. So I think that this is a huge leap in the right direction. The only concern that I've had from constituents reaching out to me is when on earth will the DAMP start getting implemented and recommendations being seen on the ground. So I'm very happy to say that implementation of this plan will begin immediately following council endorsement in partnership with the working group. That'll include site assessments and implementation of new signage and patrols on priority sites. There's a range of DAMP activities, including staff training and community messaging, that are also ongoing and have commenced. So I'm, thrilled to be endorsing this one, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Mayor. I also look forward to seeing these guidelines implemented throughout the Shire as we consolidate our signage with consistent messaging and determine the appropriate spaces for dogs and their people to spend their time together.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Would anyone else like to speak to or against this recommendation? Councillor Thompson.
I'm happy to support this framework of guidelines. I was pleased to see the amount of community consultation where many groups and individuals were able to participate in discussions and outcome, and in particular happy to see the recognition of the environmental benefits in our open spaces. I look to the future where more off-leash areas are introduced, and planners keep in mind when approving future housing estates to provide off-leash dog parks. Well done to our officers, Ms Kennedy, Nick Grant-Collins, and all participants who collaborated on this framework. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, fellow councillors and ratepayers watching this meeting. Over the years, there's been a lot of discussion between the stakeholders as far as dogs off leash in the Shire is concerned. We are blessed to have beautiful beaches that both dogs and humans need to share. I am also pleased to see that the inland dog parks are progressing. I wish to salute Ms Kennedy and her team for being able to get this policy together, which is the outline for further work in this area. The DAMP was bubbling along when I was elected 5 years ago with quite a gulf between the stakeholders. This policy will ensure that all stakeholders are on the same page when discussing future strategies for dogs with humans and for the people who are fortunately not owned by a dog. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bauer. Would anyone else like to speak to or against this recommendation? No? Okay. Put it to a vote. All in favour? Carried. 8.5, Western Port Water Down Under Partnership to be introduced by Ms Taylor. Ms Taylor?
That's me.
Ms Kennedy. To be introduced by Ms Kennedy. I was wondering why Ms Taylor was looking blank.
The purpose of this report is to endorse an environmental partnership agreement between Western Port Down Under and the Bass Coast Shire Council. Western Port Down Under is a landmark social impact campaign combining science, storytelling, community activation and education to showcase one of Victoria's most extraordinary yet under-recognised marine environments. As part of the partnership, Council will contribute $55,000 to gain access to leading-edge media assets that support environmental programs, tourism promotion and community engagement. The project is conceived as a region-wide collaboration and offers Council a rare opportunity to establish a unifying campaign that delivers long-term benefits across environmental management, community wellbeing, arts and culture, climate resilience and the visitor economy. The partnership agreement will be formalised in accordance with Council's Partnership Policy 2023. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Kennedy. I understand Councillor Morgan would like to introduce an alternate to this recommendation. If you could read that out without speaking to it, please.
Yeah, yes, the alternate is that Council enters this environmental partnership with Western Port Down Under for 1 year on the condition that the project receives no funding or sponsorship from companies involved in fossil fuel extraction.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Can I have somebody, well, Councillor Morgan's moved it, can I have somebody to second? Councillor Thompson. Councillor Morgan, you may now speak too.
Thank you very much. This is a wonderful project, truly. The Western Port Bay is a remarkable place on our precious planet. I was out there whale watching just last week as part of the Whale Festival. I support this project and I'm excited to have our Shire also supporting it. This $55,000 partnership is a really small investment for what is sure to be a wonderful documentary, interactive book and learning opportunities for people far and wide. This alternative just provides procedural protection for our Shire's reputation in entering into this partnership. We've seen in recent months some of Australia's largest fossil fuel corporations attempting to buy social licence by sponsoring community projects, school science programs and museums. Now, I'm not suggesting that this project has engaged with fossil fuel corporations, but I would like to make very clear that Bass Coast Shire Council will not be involved in this project if any companies involved in fossil fuel extraction are engaged as funding partners or sponsors of any kind. Thanks again to everyone involved, and I can't wait to see it come to fruition.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've had the opportunity to see this twice, this presentation, and totally impressed. I've also seen that her other presentation, Port Phillip Bay Down Under, which was on ABC. It's a great initiative. And I think it teaches children all about what's happening under our water. It also shows a lot of adults what's happening under our water. I fully endorse Councillor Morgan's concerns and I'm happy to go with this alternative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Would anyone else like to speak to or against this alternate to the recommendation? Yep. Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, fellow councillors and ratepayers watching this meeting. I don't see this project as a core issue to our Shire. However, I do see that $55,000 could be well spent from an advertising point of view. Most people have no idea what an abundant ecosystem exists under either Port Phillip Bay or Western Port. Involvement in this project could raise that profile. However, before giving any future financial support, I would like to know who the stakeholders are after this phase of the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bauer. Would anyone else like to speak to or against this recommendation? No? Seems no one's spoken against, although I wasn't quite sure where Councillor Bauer was going. We'll put it straight to a vote.
Please do.
All in favour? Carried. And that brings us to the end of our reports to be voted on. So we come to the statutory reports. Item number 9.1, informal meeting of councillors. Can I have somebody move and second? Councillor Morgan, seconded Councillor Thompson. Anyone like to speak to or against? No. Put it straight to a vote. All in favour? Carried. Planning and Building Statistics, May 2026. Can I have somebody move and second? Councillor Bauer, seconded Councillor Morgan. Would anyone like to speak to or against any of these reports? No. Put it straight to a vote. All in favour? Carried. 9.3, contracts awarded or extended under CEO delegation for June 2026. Can I have somebody move or second? Councillor Morgan, seconded Councillor Bell. Would anyone like to speak to or against any of these reports? No. Put it straight to a vote. All in favour? Carried. Item number 9.4, Municipal Association of Victoria Quarterly Delegate Report, April to June 2026. Can I have somebody move or second? Move Councillor Bauer, seconded Councillor Bell. Anyone like to speak to or against any of these reports or this report? No? Put it straight to a vote. All in favour? Carried. That brings us to urgent business, of which I have none. So thank you, that's the end of our meeting. The next council meeting will be held on the 19th of August 2026 at the Wonthaggi Civic Centre in the council chambers, commencing at 1 o'clock. I'd like to say thank you to everybody in the building sitting here watching, and to everybody who's watching live stream. Following this meeting, there will be a short 15-minute informal session where the members of the public are more than welcome to have a chat, and I'm hoping some light refreshments. Again, thank you all for attending, and that brings us to the end of the meeting, and the time being 1:37. If we could all just pause for a second while we wait for the live stream to end.